guys, how's it going? I cannot believe we're at the time of year again where we're sitting down to talk about fall bulbs. This is something that we normally do together sometime in the summer, July or August, when it's really hot outside. It is morning. I'm in the Hartley right now and we do not have the AC going. So I'm hoping that it stays cool enough for long enough because I want to walk through my whole bulb order with you guys, everything that I'm expecting to come this fall. We get the bulk of our bulbs from colorblends.com, and we have for the past 5 or 6 years. I've been super happy with the quality. They're huge bulbs, plus the pricing. I think they're like pretty close to wholesale pricing, and you can get large quantities for a really reasonable price. I also pick up several fall bulbs at my parents' garden center. That's always a fun place to shop. If you got a local garden center that's a real good one that carries some bulbs, definitely check those out. And then I might order like a few little random ones from, if I'm looking for a very specific variety, I might do that from other places, but Colorblends is our mainstay for bulbs. And I'm talking tulips, daffodils, alliums, crocus, snowdrops, that sort of things. The bulbs that you plant in the fall and then enjoy the blooms the following spring. And we are partnering with Colorblends for this project, which means we get to give away 4 $250 gift cards so that you guys can pick out a bunch of bulbs yourselves. Now, to enter that giveaway, all you have to do is leave a comment below this video on YouTube. If you see the video on Facebook and comment, that will not enter you. Make sure you are commenting on YouTube. Beware of scammers. They're everywhere. We do not have a Telegram. We do not have any of those kinds of things. So if you see a comment from the official Garden Answer YouTube channel, it'll have a little gray check mark next to it. You can click it and it'll bring you to our page and you can see all of our videos. We will also choose winners 7 days after this video goes out, and we will put the 4 winners below that video in the description box. So if you have a comment there and you think you may have won, definitely go check the description box to double check. Do not reply to a scammer. Wanted to warn you. Okay, so bulbs. Every single spring we say we're going to try to be better about giving you guys a tour of all of our bulbs, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen. It's not going to happen in the way we want it to happen because we plant so many different bulbs and they bloom at very different times. I mean, you can have things like your snowdrops that are going to be blooming in January, and then you can have your alliums that bloom in June. And there are some that overlap, but that's the wonderful thing about bulbs is you get such a wide range of bloom time out of them, depending on the varieties that you choose. So what we did this past spring is I just kind of showed you things as they were blooming. We didn't do an official bulb tour. We just, did mini bulb tours here and there as things looked really pretty. Some of my favorites though, I just want to highlight these before we get into my order. The Sana tulips behind the Hartley. Oh my gosh, were those ever pretty. They were so gorgeous, and I was a little nervous for them because they came up, and these 4 squares behind the Hartley, they're like right in the same location, but they came up differently. Like one corner would come up, I could see all the green peeking through, and then the next corner kind of started to peek through, and I did that in order, but it was like a week apart, and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not gonna be able to see all of these bloom at the same time together. How weird. But they ended up all blooming at the same time, and they were so absolutely gorgeous. Now on the ends of the Hartley, we did Globe Master alliums, and they're all still there, and the Clearwater tulips, and that was beautiful. The Clearwater tulips are a bright white, gorgeous tall tulip, long stemmed, very strong stemmed, and the bloom time kind of overlapped just a little bit on those because that's a late blooming tulip, and then the alliums are a very late blooming bulb as well, and so we got to see that purple and white kind of combination there for a little bit, and that was really, really beautiful. Another favorite were the 4 containers that are on the corners of the Hartley. We really went hard with bulbs around this area because I was just so excited that everything had kind of buttoned up last year in this space. But we had blushing lady tulips in the center of the concrete pots, and they were surrounded, oh, there's a hummingbird right outside the window. Let's see if I can get some video of it. You see that? Oh, how fun did it fly off? Anyway, in those pots, I had the blushing lady tulips in the center, which are beautiful, like kind of lily flower. I don't know if they're considered a lily flowering tulip, but they have kind of the pointier petals, and they're a very beautiful peach and pink and kind of a creamy apricot color. So those were in the center, and those were really tall. And then they were surrounded by Johan Cruyff. You guys told me how to pronounce the name of this one last year, and I can't remember, but it was a lighter version of the blushing lady. And I didn't know in the beginning if I would love that combination because it seemed like a little too monochromatic, and I didn't know if the Johan tulips would look a little washed out compared to the blushing lady. and it ended up being the most gorgeous blend. In fact, I have both of those on my order for this next year. They may not go in the same containers, but I want to do them together somewhere, I think, because I just thought that was the most gorgeous thing, and they lasted a long time. They bloomed for weeks and weeks, and it was just gorgeous color. Up at the Versailles garden around the Persephone statue, we planted the Beaujolais tulip blend mix plus some Angelique tulips mixed in, and that was so pretty. The Beaujolais mix is like mauve and pink and kind of a purpley pink and a soft yellow, and it's a mix of single tulips and doubles, and it was kind of like this sherbet, like this pastel sherbet sort of look up there, and it was so bright and happy, and they were gorgeous. And then we had Preston's Shogun, which is a species type tulip where they have several blooms per stem. They're a little bit shorter. They kind of have more of a wild tulip sort of look to them, if that makes sense. But they are a pumpkin color, and to be completely honest, I was unsure about having that orange pumpkin color because I usually err on the soft pink side of things, and I have a lot of pink blooming bulbs out there. So I actually tucked them in kind of back by our grape area where we've got our grapes planted, because I used more warm colors in that section, and I thought, well, you know, at least they won't fight with other pinks if they're back here, and I ended up loving those so much. They bloomed earlier than everything else, any other tulip that we had. They were the first ones, and just gorgeous color. It was a very soft pumpkin. There was nothing harsh or too bright about it. It was a gorgeous one. And then there's Menton tulips, which are really tall, huge blooming tulip, very clear pink, very beautiful. We planted some year before last out by our kind of main entryway, and then we planted more closer to like where you first enter the south garden to go to the cut flower garden, if that makes any sense, just because we enjoyed that color so much. It just showed up so bright. And I have noticed now, I've only had the Mentons up in the front for 2 years, but they came back really strong the second year, so I'm really happy with that, and it almost looks like they thickened up a little bit. So Mentons are one that will kind of naturalize. Not a ton of tulips will do that in our area, so that's great. In terms of daffodils, we planted the Topsy Turvy blend, which, oh, they're so pretty. They have like their trumpet that comes forward. Instead of going forward, it kind of lays back on the outer petals, and they're a really soft peach and soft yellow color. It's so gorgeous. I used them in a lot of flower arrangements. Also, Delnashaugh is a beautiful one that's got more of a peachy double, like real fluffy look in the middle. I'm trying to think. Cassata is a gorgeous one too, and Banana Splash. There's a lot of really pretty ones, you guys. It just gets me so excited about it. I don't love bulb planting. I will be completely honest. Bulb planting is physically a lot of work, less work once you get your auger situation figured out, if that works for you and your type of soil. But and also it's because it's not tangible right away. You have to wait months to see them, but absolutely worth the work. 100% worth the work. All right, guys, let's move on to our order from this year, which I have in front of me. I needed my computer, otherwise I'll forget. There's lots of different varieties here, some of which I have grown before, some of them I have not. And I don't have these in any specific order. I'm just going to start at the top and go to the bottom, and I won't share where they're going to end up in the garden until we get ready to plant them this fall. So first one on our list are the Anemone blue shades. So it's a type of Grecian windflower, and these bloom early to mid-season, but even before they bloom, I love the look of their foliage. It's very like finely textured, almost ferny, and it's a beautiful, it looks so bright that time of year because most everything's looking pretty blah still in the garden, and then you've got these tufts of beautiful green coming up out of the ground, and then they get these flowers. I want to say they're like 2 to 3 inch diameter in a range of blues. So usually they're like a darker periwinkle and then like a lighter powdery blue, and they open during the day and they close at night, or on a cloudy day they'll be closed, but they're so gorgeous and so bright. It's almost like a flower you wouldn't expect to see that time of year, because they look so daisy-like. Next are Grape Hyacinths, and I know some of you might cringe when I say that, and I've got a bunch of them on order because I love them. There are certain applications where you don't mind if things kind of run and spread themselves around, which these do. So if that is a consideration for your space, definitely think about it before you do this type of bulb, but I love these. They grow about 7 inches tall. We had a bunch in our orchard last year. gorgeous color, the most saturated purple, and they last for a really, really long time. They last in a vase really nicely. I love to tuck them in the edges of a spring arrangement. And I think they look, hi Russell, I think that they look equally as good planted on their own, either mass planted or not, even just like little bunches of them here and there, or along with other things. You could plant them with a white daffodil, or I mean, any color. Purple goes with everything. You can take it warm, you can take it cool, doesn't matter, but I love these and I think they're beautiful. And then Snowdrops. Now I only have one area and it's nearby. It's kind of underneath our red bud tree here by the brick patio where I've got Snowdrops. And I really want to amp up the amount that we've got because they're the earliest blooming bulb we've got. They also can handle more shade. So if you've got shadier areas, you want some early color, Snowdrops are excellent. I mean, they'll pop up through the snow. They're just amazing, and they have a very natural look to them, which I like. A little bit less like in your face than some of the like big bright tulips. It's fun to have more subdued blooms in the mix. And then there are Thalia Daffodils, which I love these. They're a little bit, again, less fully cupped than a normal daffodil. They've got more wispy looking or finer looking petals. A white cup in the center or a white trumpet, and they usually have multiple blooms per stem. So they have a little bit more of a species or a wild look. I'm just gonna put him on the ground. Otherwise, he's gonna be rubbing on my hands the whole time. Sorry, Russell, I'll pet you afterward. This is also a really good one for hotter areas. So like in the south, a lot of bulbs will, because they need a certain amount of cold period in order to be productive, but this one needs less, so it can handle a warmer, more humid sort of area and it will still perform. And that one grows 13 to 15 inches tall. I can't remember if I've said how tall all of the rest of them get. Cruyff, Johan Cruyff. That's the next one on my list. So like I said, I do have more of the blushing ladies, which are the taller, more saturated apricot and pink, and then we have the Johan Cruyff is how it says it's pronounced on the website. And it is another lily-shaped tulip, so it's got the pointy petals, but it's got the really soft pastel yellow and pink and white, and they're just gorgeous. That one grows about 14 to 16, while the blushing lady grows, I want to say like 24? Let's see how wrong I am. 26 to 30, I wasn't far off. But oh, they're so pretty together, you guys, so pretty. Okay, the next bulbs we have are all tulips, and I do have them broken up into 3 different kind of lists here. We've got singles, doubles, and lily flowering tulips. So in the singles section, we have a bunch of what's called the best series. So there's the best pink, best purple, best white, best red, best yellow, which are all solid colors, and then there's a best yellow red. All of these kind of range in the 20 to 24, 26 inch side of things. They all have very strong stems. They all have long bloom times, and they're in the best series for a reason. So it'll be really fun to see all of those bloom at the same time. And I have grown best white, best pink, and then best purple we planted on the west side last fall, and they were gorgeous. They are the most beautiful solid purple, and it wasn't like, you know, I've grown the what do they call them? They're a really dark burgundy sort of color. These are just like the perfect, they're kind of like the color of my fingernails right now. They're the perfect like medium purple color, very saturated, gorgeous. And then next in our double tulip section, we're starting off with some Aveyrons, which I order every single year because they don't come back super strong for me. They do come back, but I always lose a certain percentage every year, and that's typical of tulips, not with daffodils. If you want something that's amazing at naturalizing, daffodils are great. And tulips, some varieties you come to learn, you treat kind of as annuals, and some, a lot of the Darwin type tulips, they will naturalize, or they'll stay around longer than some of your other ones. But the Aveyron is worth ordering every single year because they're so beautiful. They are like 18 to 20 inches tall. They get a super thick stem, like real strong, really full double flower, and it's a very clear medium pink, but it almost shades out to a white on the tips, which gives them a little bit of a glow to them. I just think they're so beautiful. I say that about every bulb. And those Aveyrons, they're a late season bloomer. The next one, the Akebono, they're a mid to late bloomer, and they're also a double. They're huge flowers, soft yellow, with usually a stripe of green up the backside of their petal, and then maybe the slightest faint little red edge, and it's almost like it's red, but it almost appears orangey. I don't know. It's very soft looking still. And we have them planted around the base of our angel statue, which I can see outside our window right now. And they've been great at coming back every year. Just as strong as the first year I planted them, which that was maybe, was that 2019? Maybe 4 years ago or so, 3-4 years. Anyway, they've come back really nicely, so I wanted to plant a few more of those. And those grow about 18 to 20 inches as well. Okay, this next one I've never grown before. It's called Moris Gudanov, and these are huge, huge flowers. I'm gonna read you their description. They bloom mid to late season and about 18 to 20 inches tall like the other couple of them, but they say they're big, beefy blooms filled with peach and red petals that are sometimes streaked, sometimes solid, but always appetizing. One flower could feed a family of 4. I'm excited to see how big these flowers truly are. The pictures of them are gorgeous, and you can tell that the stems are very thick on those as well. The next one is Mount Tacoma, which is a super old double white tulip dating back to, I think they say 1915, and they almost resemble a peony bloom, which will be really fun. This one grows about 15 to 17 inches tall, and then the bloom time is late on that one, but I can't recall having Mount Tacoma tulips in my garden, and having some of those big white fluffy blooms to work with for arranging will be so fun. Wedding Gift is the next double tulip, and I'm excited to see how this one does because it looks very similar to the Aveyron, but the two differences that I can see are that this one stays a little shorter, 15 to 17 inches tall, so I mean just a little bit shorter, but it also blooms a little bit earlier. So we might have a little bit more bloom season out of having both of the varieties as opposed to just having one. So I'm just looking forward to see how their colors look. The Aveyron can sometimes look a little bit more on the antique-y side of pink. This one looks like it's pretty bright, so we'll see how it goes. They both look like they kind of have whiter tips on them. Yeah, we'll have to do a comparison side by side once we have them blooming next spring. The next one is Finola, which has an angelique vibe to me. It has that very soft pink with like some streaks of deeper pink in it. But the description of this one is that Finola is an ugly duckling. The buds are funky, the unfurling petals often awkward, and then suddenly, beauty that defies description. That's Finola for you. Hang in there. Ravishing pink and white blooms are in your future. So we'll have to see how these things start to bud out, how they look, but gosh, they look beautiful once they're in full bloom. You can see up the outer part of the petal, that green kind of veining, and just the softness of these blooms. I think they're absolutely beautiful. Bloom late in the season and 16 to 18 inches tall. Rosy Diamond is the last double tulip that I have on my list, and they're so beautiful. I'm excited for this one. They grow 16 to 18 inches tall, mid to late season bloomer, but the color on this one, it's kind of between a pink, purple, and a red. They're just a very full, large blooms and very saturated color and just gorgeous. This one looks like you could use it with almost some like smoky orange, and you could take it really warm and just have that little pop of purpley pink in there. That would be, in peaches, peach color, that would be really pretty. Okay guys, so the next section are the lily flowering tulips, and I feel like I've just recently I never disliked these, but I just really didn't notice them, and now I just love them. And in fact, I've got a whole bunch. Let's see how many varieties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different varieties of these coming. It's kind of like, you know, with alliums. I used to not like alliums, and I don't know if it's because I never saw them in a setting where it really jived for me personally, but then I saw them used in a very whimsical kind of English sort of garden look, and it just made me fall in love with the flower. And I don't know if it was the same thing with the lily flowering, like I was used to the very cupped classic tulip shape, and then I just noticed how elegant these all look. I just love their structure. This one, I'm going to not say the name right, I'm fairly certain, but Yume no Murasaki. It's a purple lily flowering tulip, huge flowers. They're supposed to last really long in the garden in bloom. Again, this is a new variety for me, and really long in the vase too, long vase life. They grow about 2 feet tall, and they kind of keep this like closed appearance in the very beginning, but on a really warm sunny day, they'll open all the way up and they'll reveal kind of a white center. They're so pretty. And these bloom mid to late season. Okay, the next one I have planted a couple of different times. It's Virichic or Virichic. It is not very good at coming back, but absolutely worth it to plant it, kind of like the Aveyron. The hummingbird is back. How am I supposed to get any work done when these hummingbirds are so beautiful to watch? Loving on that playing the blue salvia right there. Anyway, this tulip has a little bit more of a frilly look to it, like the petals kind of have a wavy vibe to them, but they're bright pink and a kind of a chartreuse green and a deeper green. They're so absolutely beautiful, and they grow fairly tall. I think right around 2 feet, and they are a late bloomer. I also noticed in their description that they state it's excellent for cutting, and that's always a fun reason to plant things. The next one is a mid-season bloomer. It's called Queen Rania. Could be saying that wrong as well, but this one has a very interesting color. It's kind of a purplish red, but some pictures it looks a little bit more pink. I can't decide. We'll have to see. I know it looks different in different lightings. I have found that color blends, both their catalog, their paper catalog, and their website show things true to color. Not everybody's does. There's one in particular that just, the colors are just saturated way beyond what they would ever look like in real life. The colors you see here are really quite true. But, you know, every once in a while when you get something in your specific area with your soil pH, it can shift the color just slightly. So I'll be interested to see how this one looks in our garden. Oh, the next one is Purple Heart. I adore the color of this one. It's got kind of like that lipstick kind of purpley pink. It's so pretty and so saturated. It grows about 22 inches tall and blooms mid-season. Oh, I'm so excited though. You can see pictures of it here, like planted in mass, and how beautiful, but that would be an easy one to pair with some other things like the Sana tulip that we had behind the Harley. That would be a gorgeous pair, and then throw a white in there. That would be awesome. And then this next one, you guys, is called Marilyn. This is a really interesting looking one. So a white lily flowering tulip with raspberry flames up the outer part of the petals. Oh, I think this is gonna look so interesting. It's like kind of candy cane vibe to it. 22 inches tall, and this one blooms, I always have to check late season. Some of these new ones, I can't remember if it's mid to late or late. Oh, this next one would be beautiful with the Purple Heart as well. This one's Liva or Liva. Oh my gosh, the pink color of this one is so pretty. And this one's supposed to have very big flowers, so that will be very fun. 2 feet tall, blooms late in the season, and look at it planted in mass. Oh my goodness. You know, they say of some of the different types, I think it's maybe the Blushing Lady, you know, with those lily flowering tulips, especially when they open a little bit more with the structure of their blooms, it almost looks like a flock of birds flying, like tropical birds flying off, and it truly does. They've got movement to them, which is so neat. Oh, I'm glad to see that they say this in the description. Inimitable is a $5 word that is very hard on the tongue. I don't know why, but it is. This is a bright yellow lily flowering tulip, and it's just very pure looking, very beautiful, grows 22 inches tall. And this one blooms late in the season, and yellow is another one of those colors that it's easy to put it in the cooler category or the warmer category. And this particular hue, I think you could put either way. Sometimes they've got a little bit more, yellow has a little bit more of a warm vibe, but I think you could go either way with this one. The next one on my list is actually Blushing Lady, but I already talked about that one. So I will skip that one and move right over to the Anatolia tulips, which is a very interesting, very spiky petaled red and yellow flower. I know some of you are gonna probably be like, what? But I do have a plan. These are really cool. They call them needle tulips. And just on pure interest and curiosity to see how these look in real life, like using them in arrangements, I think that would be really fun. It grows 26 inches tall and blooms mid to late season, but I think this will be a really fun and different addition. And the last section we have here to go through are the daffodils. I do have several varieties here, starting with Bella Estrella, which, does that translate beautiful star, right? And I've grown this one for the last 2 or 3 years, and I just keep adding because I love it. It's a blend between a split corona type daffodil and a jonquil, and it's just got such a delicate appearance, but it still grows like 16 inches tall, so it's still got like quite a good presence, which I don't think these are going to end up in the orchard, but I might toss a few in there. So they'll be up over the normal orchard grass. You'll be able to see the flower really well, but they have a very creamy white outer petal, and then the middle is, instead of like a split corona, the trumpet lays back on the outer petals. This one still goes kind of forward, but it's very fluffy and it's a little bit more subdued. It's not like a massive trumpet. It's just a very delicate looking daffodil. I just love them. Next variety of daff is Accent, which is a pink cupped daffodil. It also has kind of a more subdued, more delicate looking cup in the center. It's interesting though, because this is a variety that has stayed around for quite a number of years, while a lot of other pink cup daffodils have kind of come and gone because they either haven't been able to hold up performance-wise, or their cup can kind of change color depending on your soil pH, or that's how it's been in the past. Like they could appear a little bit more orange than pink, so I'll be excited to see what this one does. Now this one's 16 inches tall and is an early to mid-season bloomer. And then there's Cassata, which is another one that I've grown for the past couple of years, which has a white outer petal, and then it's got that trumpet or that cup that folds back on its back petals, and it's a very soft yellow. Absolutely beautiful. This one grows 15 inches tall and blooms early in the season. So for one of those that looks a little more double, this one comes up a little earlier than some of the others. And then more Delnashaugh daffodils, because I just love them, and I know I mentioned them earlier, but they've got the white outer petal, and then the interior is like fully double, and there's peach and white, both like frilly petals all together in this big poof. And they're so pretty. Oh my gosh. 16 inches tall, mid-season bloomer on that one. Next one is Flower Parade, which is a white and kind of like a yellowy orange. Double, absolutely gorgeous. It's got the outer petals, and then it's got another set of what looks like outer petals, the same color, the same white, but just a little smaller. And then it has like that really frilly center that's got that darker yellow and creamy white in it. So pretty, and it grows about 15-16 inches tall, yep, and blooms early to mid-season. Next variety is Frosty Snow. I do love this one. I've grown it before, but when we grew it, it was in the brick raised bed area. I think I might have a picture of it, but we did take apart that area in order to build kind of a new space, and those bulbs we dug out and they went to a friend's house because I didn't have time to plant them out in our own landscape. So they live on, just not here, but I wanted to add more. These are a white daffodil that have a yellow cup that opens, but then the yellow starts to vanish. So it like starts to turn more white, and the yellow goes to the very rim of that cup, and then it disappears entirely. And so they always look like it's kind of like this evolution of color, and they're just so pretty and a little bit more dainty. They do grow about 18 inches tall though, so they've got some height to them, but the flower's a little bit smaller than some of your others that you can plant, but I love that. I love mixing those in with other things because you don't have one particular flower that's like trying to steal the show. And this one blooms early to mid-season. The next variety is a new one called Watch Up. It's a beautiful white daffodil. The trumpet kind of comes out a very creamy yellow, but it quickly fades into a white. And these are taller, like 20 inches tall. And it's always fun to have a nice, good, solid white daffodil in the garden, because especially if you're wanting to use them for arranging, it's really nice to have some of those clear white flowers out there. And that one blooms early to mid-season. Next one is the Precocious daff, and this is another pink cup daffodil, but this one is actually an award winner. It's been like one of the best pink varieties to date, but the difference between this one and the Accent, which we looked at earlier, is the cup on this one is much bigger. Very fluffy, frilly on the edges, really beautiful, and it's supposed to stay very true to color. Grows about 20 inches tall and blooms early to mid-season. And then there is an all yellow double daff called Queen's Day. The thing I love about this one is that it blooms early in the season. A lot of your other doubles will do like mid-ish season, so it'll be fun to see this color and to see an all yellow daff instead of a bicolor one. I think that's going to be really fun. And then another early daffodil called Tom Pouce, and this one is a 3-color daffodil where the outer petals are a very soft, very kind of creamy yellow. The trumpet or the cup is kind of an apricot color, but right where they meet, there's white. So it has like this very shine, like glow quality coming from behind that cup. It's so pretty. It grows about 16 inches tall and it blooms early in the season. And the last bulb on my list is a daffodil called Topsy Turvy, which I think I mentioned earlier. It's a mix between 2 different types of split corona daffodils, where one is kind of the peachy color cup and one is a very soft yellow. I did plant these out in the South Garden last year and I enjoyed them so much that I wanted to add a few more out there because I just love the color, and I love using fluffy frilly flowers like that in arrangements. And those grow about 16 inches tall and they will bloom early in the season. And you guys, that is my bulb list for this year. I cannot wait to get them in the ground and be just looking forward to seeing them this next spring. And like I said, you know, planting them, not the most fun. We have figured out that I do like having an auger that's 36 inches tall And I use a 3-inch and a 2-inch size auger depending on the type of bulbs that I'm planting, but that way I can pop all the holes in the ground before and then put my fertilizer in, and then I throw bulbs in, and then I only have to get down on the ground one time to just make sure the bulbs are facing the right direction, and then I fill them back over with soil, and it's made the process so much easier. I think over time you just find a system that works the best for you, and that's been what's worked the best for us over the last several years, kind of honing the process. But I'm so excited about this, and I'm excited for those of you who will win the $250 gift cards. So again, do not forget that Color Blends is giving away those 4 $250 gift cards. Comment below this video to be entered, and we will choose a winner 1 week after this video goes out. But anyway, we will be going over more bulb details when we get ready to plant them. They usually don't ship them to us until sometime late September, and I usually do most of my bulb planting in October. That's here in Eastern Oregon, Zone 6. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We will link Color Blends down below, and I'll leave a list of everything that I talked about today in case you're wanting to look up a specific variety. Other than that, see you guys in the next video. Bye.